Hi Creatives, Claire from Right Accounts, and in this video I'm going to talk about the fundamental things that you should be looking at if you're thinking about choosing a new bookkeeping software, and particularly in choosing which software to use, the one that's right for you. If you're looking at the new financial year and thinking this is the year you're going to give up your spreadsheets or paper records, then you probably looked at a few bookkeeping softwares and wondered how the heck you are supposed to know which one to choose. So this video will give you my guidance on making that choice, and I'll also link to a few other blogs that are really useful around new bookkeeping softwares, how to use them, how to use the trial. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to go into details on my favourite bookkeeping softwares and why I like them. But remember, the features that I like may not be the features that you need. So the first one, the most obvious one, is obviously price. And it seems really obvious, but not everybody wants to pay for the bookkeeping software, and that is totally okay. Not everybody has $50 a month, $30 a month, $20 a month that they want to pay for something that they pretty much at this point have no idea how to use. But with price generally comes features and benefits, and we need to be balancing those features and benefits against the cost. So the paid for systems generally have more bells and whistles than the free systems, more features, more add-ons, more integrations, more ways you can streamline, but also more ways you can complicate things. Because are those bells and whistles useful for you? That is the key question. And how much are those bells and whistles worth for you? If they justify the price, go ahead and make that subscription. But if they don't feel pressured into doing it because somebody said this was the best one, this was the easiest one. Their opinions are totally subjective. So for example, you may have seen a package, let's call it package 1, that links to Etsy, and that's great. But what if you're only making a handful of sales on Etsy? Is it really worth the monthly subscription to be linking to Etsy if Etsy's only a very small part of your business? Now, the second thing I always look at when I'm looking at bookkeeping softwares are the features, and this is almost implied in the last point, but you need to go and see what all the features are. But first, what I would love you to do, what I would recommend that you do, is think about what do you need and what do you want. Do you want to be able to upload receipts? What about link to PayPal accounts? What about link to separate banking institutions or multiple bank accounts? Do you want to be able to track your inventory? And even do you want to be able to use your bookkeeping system like a client relationship management system, so you can track notes on the customers when you contacted them, what the conversation was, that thing, so you have everything in one place. What do you want? Not what do the softwares do. Don't look at that first. First you need to think about what you want, because all those features all sound great, but first you need to know if you really need them. And if you do and you want to pay for those features, that's completely subjective assessment. The third thing I always look at is compatibility. And by compatibility, I'm talking about countries where in Australia we do need something that will comply with Australian regulations. Some of the softwares out there are designed by Canadians, they're designed by the Brits, they're designed by Europeans. And of course, there's a lot out there designed by Americans. But fundamentally, the accounting standards are harmonised across similar countries. So Canada, UK, a lot of Europe, not necessarily all of Europe, America and Australia, those basic fundamental accounting principles are generally the same. Yes, there are quirks, but we're talking big business quirks. I'm probably not talking quirks that you or I in our personal businesses will ever encounter. But I want to say, just because something's marketed as Australian doesn't mean it will suit your needs automatically. Just because something's owned by an American company doesn't mean they don't have the Australian market's needs covered. What it does, what the software does, the features are way more important in this case than where the software comes from or who owns the software. Then the last thing I look at when I'm looking at bookkeeping software and I'm doing this assessment with clients is growth. And this really is the hardest one to judge because you're trying to guess the unknown. What do you need and want to be able to do in 6 months, in 2 years, in 5 years? Yes, there are certain systems I recommend for dealing with GST. There are certain systems for tracking inventory, for doing payroll, but they're not always necessarily a one-size-fits-all single system. If you're talking about a lot of inventory, you're thinking about Amazon, you're thinking about multiple platforms, you're probably not going to find that necessarily in a bookkeeping software. You're going to need to look for specific inventory management systems or inventory management systems that may integrate with your bookkeeping software. But if this goal or this dream of being on Amazon is 5 years away, then is it worth paying the subscription for the 5 years between now and when you get to that? And the answer, again, completely subjectively, will depend on your cash flow. It will depend on your cash flow now, depend on your cash flow for the next 5 years, and it will also depend on your willingness to relearn a new system if you outgrow the cheaper one or the free one. And I want to put a huge caveat at the end of this video. So that was the last fundamental in my case. I want to say the best system is the one you use. This is my favorite phrase currently. The best system is the one you use. Find a system that you will use. Maybe look for one you might enjoy using, one that you feel is, understandable and easy to use. And to be honest, if that's spreadsheets, then just make them the best spreadsheets you can and use them. Don't let anybody else tell you what is suitable for your business unless you're paying them for that advice. As ever, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I appreciate likes. Any questions or anything you want to let me know, please do so in the comments. And until then, I hope to see you in another video.